What would you suggest to developing leaders who are just becoming aware of this concept of culture humility? What would you suggest is a next practical step to take?
I'm going to reflect on just the journey. So if leaders are just starting to become aware of this idea of cultural humility, then I would say first and foremost, make sure that you're giving yourself grace in the process and recognize that you're going to make mistakes and that, God is in it with you. And then start finding a conversation partner. Find someone that you trust who is willing to be sort of a cultural informant with you and be in dialogue with you about some of the things you're learning and what it's like to have those conversations. When Alexis and I teach the diversity class, we talk about having courageous conversations and what's important for a courageous conversation, and the fact that we all need to build muscles, kind of build our emotional and relational muscles about how we do these conversations. The qualities of those kind of conversations mean, being embedded in love and speaking honestly and truthfully, but in love, and being able to tolerate things not being resolved, learning how to become more comfortable with the uncomfortable, and staying present in the midst of things that are uncomfortable. And so some practical things that I did was initially started paying attention to my own body language, my eye contact, when I'd be in different situations, like being more intentional about making eye contact with people that I was meeting on walks in different settings, and kind of really seeing people. That was just a really simple kind of first step, but was really important. Another step that I took that I have found really helpful over the years is reading novels written by people of different cultural backgrounds. One that I read this summer, Their Eyes Were Watching God, was just an incredible novel written from the perspective of a Black woman in the South. But there's so many. There's so many great books and novels and currently great additional books that are memoirs and reflections that are great to read.
Is there something different you might suggest or additional you might suggest for people who have had to think about their sense of cultural identity and where they fit in the world? What they can bring to the conversation around cultural humility and the practice of it?
I think we both probably realize how complex that is, because it's not, for someone who's been navigating an identity as a person of color in particular, or a Black Indigenous person of color, it's not their job to make sure that I get better in my cultural identity or my cultural humility. So even I realize, as you say, the conversation partner, recognize the need for mutuality in that, and that it's not their job to fix you, or for the white person. So for the person who's coming to the conversation with more experience, I think that continuing to lean into where God wants to bring healing around an accurate view of their own cultural identity, continuing to rest, continuing to, take care of themselves in the work, and listening to the voices of God and the voices of their community that really value and affirm all that they bring, affirming the fact that we need each other. The ways that Satan, the enemy's lies, Satan's lies, get embedded in so many different places and in so many different ways. Tensions within groups, depending on different ethnic backgrounds, or colorism, or other ways, gender issues. So I think we all have work to do in the isms that we've been socialized into and are part of systems that continue to reinforce. I'd want individuals that have been doing this work for a while to mostly hear me say how valuable their lives are, and wanting them to rest and know that that there's others of us that need to get our butts off the chairs and do the work as well.